the end of 1950.
And you are an authentic baby boomer.
Yeah.
Authentic.
Authentically authentic baby boomer.
Well, why, there we are.
There's that one.
Yeah.
We got that one. We got that one. This is why technology is bound to make us all bonkers.
Crazy.
Yes. Yes. Everybody wants to crash in their own time. Yeah, no, there's so much. You've been digging through lots of your papers and stuff. You know, obviously, when you're home a lot,
Yeah.
you suddenly have time to do stuff you normally do not have time to do. And so my parents have both sort of been looking through stuff they normally don't necessarily look through.
I've been spending time with my 16 millimeter film collection, which I haven't done in years.
Yeah.
And I mean, the most I've done is sort of reach for a title off the shelf and pull it down and bring it to USC and project it on a screen,
Yeah.
which is great.
And no small task.
Yeah,
No.
no.
No small task, I'll tell you
And
now.
they found a guy, or they knew of a guy who still serviced 16 millimeter projectors.
Yep.
It's kind of like being in the buggy whip manufacturing business. But there was a guy that they still were able to call on about 4 years ago
Mm-hmm.
to give their remaining 16 millimeter machine going over. And it gives me almost a perverse pleasure
Yeah.
to run it, to show a film. In some cases, I have that same short now on a DVD
Yeah, but
or
that's
even
no
on a
fun.
Blu-ray, and they project very well in my large auditorium.
Yep.
At
But
school at USC.
yeah, USC.
Yeah,
but
at
I
USC.
love knowing that the projector is whirring.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You know, and
Well, that's a huge part of the fun
yeah,
is, you know, what it sounds like, what it looks like.
yeah.
I would like to say again that only one of the three of us right now is sitting up straight. Look at how tiny you look. There you go, buddy. There you go, guys.
Hello. How are you?
Just slowly sinking into the couch.
Anyway,
Look at old something.
anyway, it's been fun going through the films and sifting and sorting, deciding
Mhm.
which ones I don't really need anymore, which ones are in poor shape,
Yeah.
which ones need a little repair work. Although, to be honest, I've never made a cement splice in my life. And to explain
I've often
further,
said that about you.
professional film handlers.
Honey?
Yeah.
Hi. It all broke almost instantaneously.
Be they
Oh,
editors
yes.
or projectionists or whatever, use a form of clear cement. They scrape one side of the emulsion, scrape the other side of the emulsion, marry the two pieces of film together. Usually you lose a frame in the act of doing this,
Mm-hmm.
but that creates a splice.
There you go.
Well, sometime in the 60s, I guess, Kodak came up with something called press tapes, which were a lazy person's way of splicing. And lazy, sign me up. And so I'm still using press tapes, and I bought some on eBay, and they still work except for one package where they didn't stick anymore.
Whoops.
Well,
Yeah. So,
just how old were they?
well,
Yeah.
maybe 60 years
Maybe,
old. I don't know.
maybe. Not sure.
Not counting exactly. But it's been really great to have time,
Mm-hmm.
chunks of time to deal with them. Soundies are especially interesting to me. Do you folks know what soundies are? Some of you do. Soundies were an invention of the early 1940s, and they had a revival of sorts when music videos came along in the early 80s,
Mm-hmm.
because soundies were the precursor to music videos. 3-minute long films, no plot, just a performance of a number.
Mm-hmm.
And they hired some big stars. They hired big black stars, which is to say Louis Armstrong.
Not physically
Cab-
big.
Louis Armstrong, Cab Calloway, Fats Waller, the Mills Brothers, Dorothy Dandridge before she was a star, many, many more. Count Basie, Duke Ellington. And so these are priceless, precious pieces of film. They also needed to fill out their program with just stuff, and stuff that wouldn't cost a lot of money. So they hired a lot of dull performers and came up with a lot of
Oh.
bad sets and such. But every now and then, like I discovered, I knew I had it this one, a very, very young, almost unrecognizable Sid Charisse,
Mm-hmm.
when she was billed as simply Charisse, and a young Lucille Bremer, who went on to be an MGM
Hey, Bob.
musicals star for a short while. She's Judy Garland's sister, one of Judy Garland's sisters.
Mhm.
Meet Me in St. Louis. So it's fun to look at these. Well, the original soundies were made to be played in a machine,
Huge
a
machine.
big, bulky machine that had inside it a 16 millimeter
We almost
projector
bought one. That's how.
with a
Silly
sequence
days.
of mirrors
Yeah.
that put it up on a screen by back projecting it
Mm-hmm.
on a screen. Therefore, the original Soundies prints were all printed in reverse. All the lettering is backwards.
Crazy.
And
Like that, maybe.
and so I found some of those reverse image reels that I had, and some that I just don't remember at all. And it's fun. They did some comedy reels. They hired Alfalfa Schweitzer.
Mm-hmm.
They hired Snub Pollard. They hired all sorts of people to fill out their program. The hitch, it's just a small problem. So these 3-minute shorts were mounted on an 800-foot reel, which means they've got maybe 8 or 10 on a reel on this projector, which had an early version of motion sensor to stop and start the projector. You'd put in your dime, I guess it was, and it would start up the projector and it would tell you which soundie was next in line. You couldn't choose. If the next soundie in line was Ray Fritzer and his Colonia Grove
Band of renown,
Syncopators,
yes.
that's what you got. If you were lucky, you got Cab Calloway singing Blues in the Night. I just found a nice print of that.
Mm-hmm.
But how could you feed a jukebox and just take pot luck when the pots you would luck into weren't so good? Anyway, I've found quite a number of those.
Yeah. Let's go through some questions.
Sure.
What are some of your favorite non-English language films? Well, part one of that is my dad is a Francophile, which means that he loves French cinema.
Franco-American spaghetti.
There you go. Franco-American. Thank you.
I have nothing to do with
But
this
he is. He's a
stupid-
Francophile and has always loved French film. There's many others, but I think that's probably what you've seen the most of.
Yes, no question.
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is as silly as it is, Nora's Will, just because it's a movie that sat with us in such a big way.
Yes.
Mexican film.
What we would call a sleeper.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. A
Yeah.
sleeper. Yeah.
A modest film that turns out to be so much better than you ever could have
And it
hoped.
touched
or
so
Yeah.
many
expected to be.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie, and also introduces you to a group that, to be honest with you, I wasn't really aware of. I didn't know that there was such a huge Orthodox Jewish community in Mexico City.
See, she doesn't listen to her mother. I could have
Had
told
no idea that was something that was so prevalent. And that's a part of it. Basically, it's about the matriarch passes away and what happens from
She
there.
passed away just before Passover.
Yes, meaning that you can't bury her because in the Jewish faith you can't bury people on holidays. So anyway, it's a movie worth looking up. Nora's Will. That's a fantastic one.
Yeah.
You guys
And-
just saw
And there's
2 or 3.
a French film this year
Yeah.
that's on the short list that will be shortened tomorrow
Mhm.
from 15 to 5.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see which foreign language. They're now calling it the international category.
Yes, it's all changing.
But
yeah.
I'm really eager to see which ones make the final cut tomorrow morning. I'm not going to get up at 5:30 necessarily to find out, but maybe I will. I don't know.
No,
Anyway.
no, you won't.
The
No.
official, the official
No, you
French entry this year is called Two of Us,
Yeah.
and
We
we
didn't know
thought
what to expect.
we
when
thought
we
it was
watched
exceptional,
Mhm.
You
absolutely
know, and then you're
exceptional,
watching this film and
and it's a first feature.
Yeah,
For
it really struck
Yeah.
both of you. So there's
Yeah.
that
Very
one,
much
and
so.
then
but of all time, she was some of my favorite.
oh, I'm just thinking of the ones recently because you both have watched several foreign
Yeah,
films.
we
Well,
that-
we
well,
tried to
okay.
watch these,
Another on the short list
Yep.
is a Russian film by veteran filmmaker Andrei Konchalovsky, and it's called "Dear Comrades!" Exclamation point.
Yeah.
It's a Cold War story
Mhm.
based on a real incident
1962.
from 1962. And it just knocked us out. Absolutely knocked us out.
Yeah. You kind of
And-
sit there like, oh, you're just
And
so
it takes you-
engrossed in the film.
It absolutely transports you back to that time and place.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it does that for us because we were alive during the Cold War.
Mhm.
So that may have something to do with it, but it did get great reviews across the board.
Mhm.
Anthony Lane, who I much respect and admire in the New Yorker, called it Konchalovsky's masterpiece. And this is from a man who's made other really good films. So, dear comrades,
Yeah. Over here, I'm French and I wanted to know, have you seen Monsieur Klein by Joseph, is it Losey or
Losey.
Rosie.
Mm-hmm. Such a great picture.
I think I saw it when it was new, so my memory of it is distant. But I admire Joseph Losey, or as he is known here, Joe Losey.
Joe Losey. okay.
Yes.
Known to his friends. He was one of the expatriate group that continued their career
In
during
Europe,
the witch
yeah.
hunt by going overseas
And staying.
and revitalized his career in the last part of his life, making films like The Go-Between. That's a great film. So
He stayed in England, didn't he? He didn't
Yeah.
come back. Yeah.
no, he stayed.
Trying to think of some others. As you say, if there are older ones that you, I mean, obviously there are
Well,
things
I
like
mean,
they're the
Grand
classics.
Illusion,
Yeah. We've enjoyed sort of rediscovering Pierre Tex, which happened because a few years ago there was a whole thing at the Academy
And Telluride.
and Telluride, and so we got to see those films on a big screen, which
And
is
I got to host-
always.
And I got to host an evening with him at the Academy,
Mhm.
and where they recruited Geneviève Bujold as translator for him. And
It was a blast.
it
was so much
was
fun.
quite an evening. He was a charming guy who won an Academy Award for a short subject called, in English, Happy Anniversary, which was written or co-written by Jean-Claude Carrière, who just passed away within the past 2 weeks. A wonderful, he's in the mold of Jacques Tati, visual jokes, visual gags, and very talented. The Criterion Collection put out a whole box of his works, of his films, which are worth looking into.
Mhm.
It's spelled E-T-A-I-X. Pierre Etex.
E-Tex. E-A-T-X.
What is? Sorry.
So come on.
No, I was going to say, what is the movie? Help me. The gangster movie made by an American. I'm talking early on.
Rafifi.
Rafifi. Oh,
Jules
so
Dessin.
good. Jules, I believe he's from the Bronx, actually. As
Yeah.
you know, I'm from the Bronx.
Another New York
Great pride.
born and bred
Yeah.
guy who wound up, because of his left-wing leanings, fleeing to Europe. He worked first in England, and he made Night in the City for Daryl Zanuck, really good noir. And he made several other films, but his masterpiece is this caper movie called Rafifi, in which he also stars under an alias, and it's brilliant. It's really brilliant. Has you holding your breath.
Yep. Yep.
Greg says Jude's passing is extremely sad, but it alludes to this question: what are your favorite dog movies? Well, so we've spoken about this before. I can't. My mom and I are the same.
we're terrible.
Cannot
We
watch
can't
animal
watch
movies.
It. No,
Makes
no,
me
no.
too upset.
I can. Lassie,
can't.
come home.
Yeah. So for me, the answer is none. I don't like watching movies with animals because I get too upset. Because if anything happens to them, I'm a mess.
We don't care about the people.
No, don't care about
But
people.
No.
People can
the
get shot all they want.
dogs.
But I always say to you, the reason for me is that an actor you'll see on the Tonight Show, and you go, see, they're fine. But the dog, cat, whatever it is, who gets injured in a film, they don't get to go on TV and
Go,
say,
woof, woof,
ruff,
woof,
ruff,
woof,
ruff, woof, 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 woof. No. Yeah, it's.
I mean,
too
I can't
upsetting.
watch Old Yeller.
You know what?
I
I do
can't.
have an answer though, and it's Best in Show, which is one of the greatest
Oh
movies
God, yes, so
of all
good.
time
Absolutely.
ever. Anyway.
Where
So-
no dog is ever imperiled. And you know that from the tone of the film
Mhm.
right away.
Christopher Guest is a magical, magical man. And the idea that he's married to Jamie Lee Curtis, I would pay so much money to be a fly on the wall in their home. So much money. because they're just awesome.
And we were so blessed to become friends with Fred Willard,
Yes.
The best.
who
Our
is,
dear Fred Willard
best of
and
the
Mary,
best.
his wife. Yes.
and his contribution to Best in Show, he and Jim Piddock, who people thought was a real dog expert.
Yeah, he not that.
Yeah.
And-
Christy says she's starting the petition. The campaign for an animal actor interview show. I'm in.
I mean,
I'm in, Christy.
in.
Let's do it.
Well-
I'm here. Let's do it. Are classic films being left behind during the streaming boom? I don't think so.
Oh, no, yes. The answer is yes.
So like Criterion and
Well, no, there are people who are, there was just an article this past week that I read that somebody forwarded to me.
that a lot of the classics are being taken off.
Yeah, well, not just taken off, but not
Mhm.
taken up.
Mm,
You know, there are thousands. These libraries now are vast. And the problem is if there's any kind of rights issue or glitch where they haven't cleared. Well, that's right. The lead was Cocoon.
yeah.
The lead of the article
This-
was
the
a guy
whole
wanted
thing.
to watch Cocoon, and it's not available. One of the most popular films of the 80s, Academy Award winner, great cast. You know, Ron Howard directed it. And the sequel, that's available. But quixotically, the original can't get it on any streaming service. You can't even, if you want to buy a DVD or even a VHS,
You have to work really hard. you have to
and you
really
have
find
to
them.
spend an absurd amount of money.
Yeah.
But apparently, it's music rights issues.
Yeah. Well,
So
I should say that I don't think that the films are being left behind. I think that they can be more problematic because of these issues.
right, but there's sometimes there's no issue. It's just lack of
Oh yeah.
interest or motivation.
Mhm.
Humphrey Bogart's my favorite actor of the golden age. He made 75 movies. I think I've now seen 70 or close to 70 of those 75. But there are some that are kind of junky. I mean, he made
Got to
some,
start somewhere.
Yeah, not everything is going to be a classic.
and so there's no real motivation for Warner Brothers, which owns so many of those films, to do a new digital transfer, which costs money, of a film like Swing Your Lady. That's maybe the nadir, late 30s film with Penny Singleton. And, you know, what kind of return are they going to get on a return on investment,
Mhm.
as they say? To be honest, none. But if you want to really follow Bogart's career, you want to see everything he did.
Mhm.
You know, you don't want to read some of Mark Twain. You don't want to hear some of Gilbert and Sullivan. You want to be able to go to a library or a virtual library and access everything they did. But movies are more complicated that way.
Mhm.
So in that sense, some films are being left behind by streaming because if you want to see Casablanca, Maltese Falcon, Treasure of the Sierra Madre, no problem. But when you get to the more
Mhm.
obscure films,
Yeah.
it is a problem.
But thankfully, there are a lot of places to find support for these kinds of movies. And most of the people doing it are our friends. Most of the people
Yeah,
who are
it's true.
keeping these things alive
Yeah.
and the archivists and everything else are our friends. And we're incredibly proud of them and pleased that they're trying to keep these things around. Hercules Hadfield, get your little
Why are
booty
you
over here.
making noise. Yeah.
Because I think he's just
Yeah.
like the rest of us.
Yes.
It's a little off at the
It's
moment.
a little off.
Firstly, big hugs from St. Louis. Thank you. Wondering if you could recommend a good silent film actress other than Mary Pickford or Lillian Gish, wanting to give silent films a whirl. Well, Amy.
Well, if you haven't seen Marion Davies in Show People, it's a wonderful film, especially for someone who's just immersing themselves in the silent film era.
Mhm.
It plays very modern, I think. It needs no explanation, no apology. It's just great fun, directed by King Vidor and starring the oft maligned Marion Davies, who was just portrayed in the movie Mank.
By
She's-
Amanda Seyfried.
Right.
Yep.
Who was the
she was,
paramour of William Randolph
Of Hearst.
Hearst, a married man.
and she was not a great actress, but she was actually a really good comedian.
She was good, but they just because of the film, because of of Citizen Kane, everybody assumed that as we look at it now, that she was a no talent. That's not true.
Not true at all.
She was a wonderful comedian, comedic actress, absolutely.
But there too, it's also different. It's also different because who's to say what kind of a career somebody would have had at a different time?
Yeah.
But who are some other actresses that you enjoy?
Gloria Swanson,
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest stars of the silent era, who at a certain point produced her own movies, as several others did, and I'm thinking of Queen Kelly, the aborted film she made with Erich von Stroheim, The Love of Sonia,
Folks
Manhandle.
Victoria Carr saying Myrna Loy, Greg Ehrbar saying Janet Gaynor, and all sorts.
I love Laura LaPlante. Laura LaPlante is in The Cat and the Canary, which is the original quote unquote old dark house thriller laced with humor.
Mm-hmm.
BB Daniels, very buoyant and entertaining,
really delightful to watch. Absolutely.
Comedian.
Yeah. What do you think of the movie Breezy with William Holden?
Oh gosh, you know what? I never saw it.
Dun dun dun.
Directed by Mr. Clint Eastwood and co-starring Kay Lenz, an actress who worked a lot at that time.
Yeah. Christy has a great question. How do we support and show that we want to see more restorations and preservations of these classics? The truth is, it's always a lot of Kickstarters, all those sorts of things, raising money. That happens all year long, all of the time. So that's one way to look into it and to see what you can do to help.
You want to support AFI. You want to support George Eastman Museum in Rochester, New York.
Art houses. You want to support art houses,
when they open.
When they open, yes, which is how I first saw my early films.
Mm-hmm.
There was an art house in Westchester County, and I used to go with my cousin. And my God, that's where the whole world was open to me suddenly.
Yeah. Well, and the Academy, we joke that for a lot of people, the Academy is the only, as in the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, they're the ones who put on the awards. They exist all year. For a lot of people, they only exist for the Oscars, but the reality is they're around all year and they put on a lot of events. My dad's hosted, I don't even know how many at this point, but they work really hard, and their archive, and our friend Randy Haberkamp there, they work so
and the
hard.
Margaret Herrick Library,
they do
wonderful
a ton. The UCLA archive, they work really, really hard and try to bring attention. The LA Conservancy, there's all sorts of groups, and I promise they're not hard to find.
Right.
You can just sort of start to look them up, and you'll see the kind of work they do. You'll see what they need. Sometimes, and this is when live events return, sometimes you can support by going to their events.
Yeah. And telling your friends and encouraging your friends to participate.
Mm-hmm. No, there are a lot of people working there to make sure that things continue to exist. And we're very, very lucky that there are people who devote themselves to this.
And we're lucky to have Turner Classic Movie.
Mm-hmm.
Turner Classic Movie.
God
channel.
bless them.
Yeah. It's funny, but there are so many people who say, especially during this, that they just leave it on. They just leave TCM on. And we had a funny experience when we were going to interview Mitzi Gaynor. And we went to her apartment and went into her kitchen. That's where we were going to record. And she's got TCM on in the kitchen on her TV. And I text Alicia Malone and I said, Alicia, just so you know, I'm watching you from Mitzi Gaynor's kitchen. I just need you to know that that's a thing.
Name
that's
dropper.
Happening. Yeah, right. But it was so funny. I said, I just love that she's got it on. Of course she does. Do you, this guy, watch Carol Landis?
Yes.
Yeah.
When given an opportunity, yes. Carol Landis is fun.
Yeah.
She did mostly lighthearted films.
Yep.
And she was She was not a great star. She was not a great actress, but she had verve and personality.
It's a lot there. There are so many people, and it's that is the fun of the discovery, isn't it? You know,
And and if you have never heard of Carol Landis or BB Daniels or Laura LaPlante, and you see one film with them and you like it, then you go on your own journey of discovery.
mhm.
And you start researching and reading a little bit more, and you see the names of films. You write down, all right, make a list.
I like so and so. I'm gonna
Yeah.
look into that person. Whatever it
Mhm.
is so interesting. What do you think of Pepe Le Pew being canceled?
No, honey, it's all right. It's okay, sweetie. It's all right.
All right, real short answers. Lighten up.
Mm.
Where's your sense of humor?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It is a comic exaggeration. That's what it was always meant to be. And it was,
It's also a cartoon skunk.
yeah.
For anyone who doesn't remember
Right.
that bit, it is a cartoon skunk.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that's it.
You can't. Yeah,
That's
it's not right. It just isn't right.
And you canceled? No.
We've all talked a lot about the whole thing of cancel culture and blah blah, and how we are not fans of cancel culture because it can be ridiculous at times, most of the time.
I mean, you can't say it was never
Uh,
there, for God's sake.
No,
You know.
but what I would say when it comes to something like Pepe Le Pew is that if you are going to introduce your kids to something and you feel that somehow Pepe Le Pew is worse than taking them to a Transformers film, taking them to see these horror movies that are going on all the time, letting them play video game. And I'm not one of those people who thinks video games cause violence, but like, you're going to let your kid play a game
Your
where they're
husband's
shooting
pretty violent,
everybody. Like, I just feel that sometimes people need to take a little bit of, what's that word? Accountability for what they choose.
Talk to your child.
To share.
Explain things. I mean, that's the other thing we always talk about. Don't cancel it. Talk about it.
Just talk about
if
it.
there's a
Yeah.
book that you think is
To discover something.
A student in my class the other night, my virtual class at USC, called me out. I'm not going to go into detail on this,
No.
but a student called me out on terminology that I used. And at first I was a little miffed. I thought, are they being overly sensitive? And then I realized, no, they weren't.
I was only miffed in how they said what they said. Because again, no, not Rip Hercules. Hercules is just fine.
Oh, no,
He's right
Hercules
here.
fine. No, this is not a
Hercules
ghost.
is fine. Jude is the one who passed away. No, Hercules, bite your beautiful tongue. Hercules is fine. No, my issue, the best way to talk to someone about something is to approach it as an educational situation, if you will. So if someone says, I don't like the way that you say this, and you put it in a way that says, hey, just so you know, this is not how I would use this phrasing, whatever it is. Then somebody goes, oh, okay, sure, no problem. When you go, I think it is offensive and you don't understand and it is wrong and I am morally offended, you go, oy vey.
Yeah. Get a life. Get a life.
No, but
all of us have
No,
experience.
what they shared is valid.
Yes.
And it's
and you're not going to use that.
It's not
again.
a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just, as I say, to me, it's how you say something
Yes.
and how you can
Yes.
teach somebody something, that's all. Hi, Elliot. My brother-in-law has just joined us. here on
Hello,
Instagram.
Elliot. How you doing?
Hello, Elliot.
How's Wales?
Yeah, right. How are things in Wales?
Is it open
Still-
yet?
The other day, I found the receipt from the woman that when I was sending off my in-laws Christmas presents, at this very sweet woman at USPS, spelled Wales as in Wales in the UK, WHALES. And I'm dyslexic, so I'm not great at catching spelling errors all the time. But I took it back and I looked at it and I just went, there's no H in Wales. Handed it back. She went,
Kind of a motto.
"Oh."
There's no H in Wales.
Elliot says, hope you're all okay. We're chugging along, man.
Hey, man.
Just hoping that we can get back over and see everybody.
Oh yeah.
We haven't been
yeah.
home in such a long time, and we really, really, really
And
miss it. And we miss our
Leonard
family.
and I want to go. We want to see, Jesse's in-laws,
Yeah.
who we just adore.
Yeah, I like my in-laws. It's this weird
We all
thing.
like. We all like.
I like
that.
my
I know
in-laws.
there's something terribly wrong with that, but
Maybe,
yes, we do.
maybe.
Yeah.
I will tell you that the second that we're allowed to go
man.
to our other home, I am there times 12.
Yeah.
Anyway, so some other questions. Folks are asking about, of course, the Oscars and if there's anything that you're particularly looking forward to or hoping for.
All the pundits have weighed in, and my punditry would just be redundant. On
But
top of
but
theirs.
I would say for you, what are your favorites?
Nomadland,
Mm-hmm.
News of the World,
Mm-hmm.
Minari,
Judas and the Black Messiah.
Judas and the Black Messiah,
The five.
the five young, the five
The five guys.
Defy Bloods.
The Five Bloods.
Defy Bloods.
Yeah, I mean, there's some
The hat's
terrific
over there
films
somewhere.
around.
I'll be discouraged and outraged if Delroy Lindo
Yeah,
and shocked really if he's not nominated for
He's so
best
strong.
Yeah.
actor
Mm.
for that film, The Five Bloods.
Can Malton Fest happen if movie theaters open by tomorrow? I
Oh,
wish.
Man, I wish we
Um,
could, but it takes.
I'll be honest, though, truly, we were prepped for Malton Fest last year. We had all of our films locked
we
in.
had our venue.
Everything was ready to go. So when things are safe again, so my crossed fingers is that 2022 we shall return triumphant and very happily sit with everybody in a movie theater again.
All our
And,
friends. That was a
and
lot
have-
of fun.
have a
We
great
want that
time.
again. Absolutely.
Do you hope someone picks up the torch for Michael Apted and his 7-Up series, or do you feel that after his passing, it's better to be left alone?
I would leave it alone personally.
Why?
Because it was he didn't initiate it. He came in, I think, at the second installment. This is the British TV documentary
7-Up. It started with 7-Up.
7-Up, and then they followed these children from disparate backgrounds.
Into their 60s.
Yeah, and every 7 years, and not all of them stayed with the program. Some came, some left for
Mhm.
different reasons. But it was a sociological experiment that was unique in movie history, and it wouldn't be irrelevant for someone else to do it.
Acorn is showing it.
Mhm.
For those of you,
Mhm.
such as myself, who like British television, Acorn, BritBox.
My mom is attached to Acorn and BritBox. She actually, if you cut her open, she bleeds
I do.
Acorn and
I do,
BritBox,
I do.
which I
Little-
love.
Little acorns fall out. Yeah.
Have you ever met Jerry Lewis? If so, how was the experience?
I was.
Uh-huh.
I did.
Oh man, he's the Jer. He just did.
When I was growing up, I have to preface this thing. When I was growing up, I thought the sun rose and set on Jerry Lewis.
hmm
The first film of his that I saw when I was 6 or 7 was his first solo film, The Delicate Delinquent. The Delicate Delinquent.
There you go.
Around the rough. and
Around
rugged-
the
the
rough
rough.
and rugged rock.
the
Yes.
rugged rascal ran. Anyway, The Delicate Delinquent, 1957, and I just fell in love with him, and became a rabid fan, not knowing that he was part of a team with Dean Martin for the preceding 10 years. I discovered them retroactively, and loved them, and not so much for their films. They were at their best
hmm
on live television, but fortunately, Jerry, who chronicled himself and archived himself, kept kinescopes of all those live TV Colgate comedy hours.
hmm
God, they're funny. They're not just funny.
Oh,
they're
just-
explosive.
they don't stop. You
They're
just
explosive.
pee in your pants funny. I'm sorry. That's what they are.
And yes, finally, not finally, but ultimately, I did get to meet Jerry first briefly, and that was exciting just to be able to shake his hand and say hello. And then for some panels and interviews and experiences, and he was very kind to me and very generous to me. One night at the Directors Guild, someone asked him about critics, and he went off on a tear about critics. And soon people were turning around and looking at me for my reaction, thinking that that he was insulting me,
Yeah.
and B, that I would be outraged. Well, I knew he wasn't aiming it at me because I'm not one of the ones who tore him down.
Yeah, right.
although in my movie guide, I'm pretty tough on some of his movies that I thought weren't up to snuff. But I love Jerry. I mean, like,
Tell him.
what?
Tell him what happened with me. Tell him what happened.
He came to Entertainment Tonight to do an interview one day. And
Let me just say, there are compliments and then there are compliments.
you have to tell the rest.
No,
I'll get it wrong.
No. Go
Somebody
on.
tell the
Go on.
story.
Honey, I'm not kidding. I'll get it wrong.
He basically hit on me, is what happened, in front of my dad.
I can't believe you're talking about that.
And I was 16. He didn't know I was 16. I was 16. And when I said, yeah, that's my dad, I'm 16, he sort of looked at my dad and shook his hand and just kind of left. And it's one of those things where later we're driving home. This was at ET. My dad's driving home and he goes, well, that's a memory. And I was like, so yeah, let's say there are compliments and then there are compliments. Being hit on by Jerry Lewis, there are worse
He was
things.
so
Yeah.
funny.
He wasn't, I should just say, like, nothing about it was inappropriate. He was just, yeah. So nothing, yeah.
He
There's
just
nothing
had
negative.
such
It was just a funny
timing.
experience. Oh my God, Miranda. Yes. Christy's asking if you've ever seen the show Miranda. I don't think you have, but God, I love that show. Miranda is another British series that I don't think is on anymore, but it was Miranda Hart was the lead. It's so funny. It's another really, really great show. Somebody's asking if you saw Onward and what you
Yes.
thought of it. You showed it in class.
I showed
right?
it. I showed it
Yeah.
in class. I liked Onward, and I thought Onward got a raw deal because it came out just, I guess, just before pandemic.
Yeah, right before. Right.
like maybe like a
before.
week or two before
Yeah.
things got locked down,
Yeah.
and also even before that happened, Disney was in a quandary how to promote it,
Yeah.
how to sell it, because it's not easily encapsulated.
Mm-mm.
If you want to do a TV guide log line for it,
Yeah.
hard to describe what
Yeah.
it is and what the qualities are that make it different from other Pixar movies. It's very good. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it.
Yeah. Because what this person was saying is that they liked Onward more than they liked Soul.
Mhm.
Well, we've spoken about this a bit. I don't think any of us hated it,
I didn't like it.
but so
I was
we
so
were,
disappointed.
we're all varying degrees. My mom didn't like it at all. I think you and I were sort of in the similar boat where we liked things about it, but didn't really like the film as a whole. And part of it always, and this is where advertising is so tricky. Part of it is,
Expectations.
yeah. And so because we're all jazz lovers, we were really excited about the jazz, and there was not very much jazz in it. So
What there was good.
oh yeah, that's the frustrating part, is that what there was really enjoyable.
Was really, really good.
And then there wasn't anything else. Leonard, how do you feel about the LA Film Critics picking a TV series, Small Axe, as best film? Well,
It's not a TV series.
Mm-mm.
It's a sequence of 5 movies,
mhm.
and which, for the most part, I guess, debuted on television. This is a project from the British.
Amazon.
Yeah, this is a project from the British writer-director Steve McQueen,
and they're very good.
and they're really,
They're
really good. I think that
Some better than others, but boy, wow.
I
wow.
think that the first one is Mangrove. Watch that, and you'll want to see the whole
Mhm.
sequence.
It's kind of the story of his childhood in England,
yeah,
being from the Caribbean.
yeah. It's so ambitious and so good, and so even within this arena, diverse stories
Mm.
of people from the West Indies coming to the UK, coming to England in the 60s, and the challenges they faced, the hatred,
The hatred.
the prejudice,
Mhm.
utter
Unbelievable.
hatred. But it's some episodes are angry, some episodes are ironic, some episodes are
You know-
even nostalgic.
So now I think part of the problem, you just said episode.
Well, yes.
So that's
Because
see,
it
and
is an
that's part of it.
episode.
No, I know,
It's
I
5
know.
parts.
But
I
that's
mean,
all. That's all part of it.
Yes.
It's just that it's how
tricky.
do you?
It's it's very
place
it.
tricky. I mean,
It's also
really.
hard, of course, because so little is in a movie theater right now. That
Yeah.
that I think obviously a big way of knowing if it's a movie or a TV show is you see it in a theater or you don't. Well,
So, you know, I don't know how I would have honored it
yeah.
given my druthers, but I'm not upset with my colleagues at LAFCA for awarding it the way they did, because anything that calls attention to this exceptional achievement
Mhm.
is okay by me.
And he's a member of LAFCA and has been for
He was a president
for
for
how
2
many
years.
Well,
Yeah.
everybody has to be the president, but how? No, everybody
no.
has to do it. Lee says Happy Mother's Day and that we love you, and we love you guys very, very much.
Very
And I
much.
miss you,
Look
Charlie
forward
and
to
Lee.
seeing
And
you guys,
happy
yeah.
first Mother's Day to our Charlie. Let me tell you, I've told you guys a little bit about my new nephew Finn, and I'm not biased. He might be the cutest child that's ever been born in the history of
It's
children.
not biased.
I'm just saying that kid,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous how precious he is anyway. Love you guys and miss you. My dad stumbled upon something that was so incredibly cool.
I have so much stuff. I don't even remember how or when I acquired some things. I've bought collections. We've bought collections. And in one of them, there's this. Now, I'm going to have to show this.
All right. So, yes, I know for some of you guys it's going to be turned around. Maybe what we'll do is you can post about this on your website.
Yeah.
That way folks can stare at the papers longer.
Just to give you an idea, though. These,
So it says at the top, RKO Radio Pictures Inc. call sheet, director A. Hitchcock, date Saturday, 5/10/41. So it's 1941. And the title is Before the Fact. So here's this.
So this is a wad of papers that were stapled. I removed the staple.
Tell him what movie
These are
it became.
well, these are the call sheets for everything that was shooting that day. Now, remember that in 1941, movies still shot 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
This
Long.
is
Yes.
after the formation of the Screen Actors Guild, but they
Yeah.
hadn't won that battle yet. So if and this is the top one, so this in terms of seniority or importance
Mm-hmm.
to the studio, the first of importance was Alfred Hitchcock's new film, which then was called Before the Fact, later retitled Suspicion. So a call sheet indicates who is needed and wanted on the set or location. Joan Fontaine should be made up and ready to work 9 a.m. That's not too bad. But, you know, she still
Well,
had
for
to
a
get
woman,
there at 7,
you know,
Mm-hmm.
most likely get there at 7 a.m. And she's going to shoot an exterior cliff top, a process shot, and a matte shot on set 26 on stage 8 at RKO. And her Roadster should be on the set.
The prop department, it says Lagonda Roadster on set 8:30 a.m. Then Cary Grant
Cary
and
Grant
Joan
got to sleep in
Fontaine.
that day.
Yeah. Cary Grant and Joan Fontaine didn't have to come in till 1 p.m.
And their stand-ins,
Yep.
staff and crew ready to shoot. Okay, no visitors, please.
Mm-mm.
And there's a second. All right, no, so here's also shooting that day. Garston Kanan was directing Ginger Rogers in Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yep. This is also 5/10/41, so 1941. You'll see here it says made up, ready to work. Ginger Rogers, Betty Breckenridge, and Edna Holland. All right.
And also, just briefly, also shooting, Lewis Milestone was directing Ronald Colman and Anna Lee in My Life with Caroline. They were starting at 9 a.m., made up, ready to work. And they had shoots in the afternoon. And the stand-ins, staff and crew. Jack Hively, a B-movie director, was directing Father Takes a Wife with Gloria Swanson and Adolphe Menjou and a young Desi Arnaz. They had to be there at 9 a.m., ready to shoot. Irving Reese, who had been a major director in New York radio, never quite achieved the same success as his colleague Orson Welles in movies. But he was directing, you wouldn't use this title today necessarily, but it was part of the Falcon series, which was a B detective series. This one titled The Gay Falcon,
The Gay Falcon.
starring
Aha, yes.
starring George Sanders. But George didn't have to come in until 1 p.m.
No, yeah.
Lucky him.
Sleeping in.
All his co-stars had to be there at 9, ready to go. Alan Jenkins, Ed Brophy, Ed Dunn, Arthur Shields, otherwise known as Barry Fitzgerald's brother.
Brother, yes.
Yeah, okay.
All through life, yes.
Same day. All right, this part really interests me. Edward Kelly is directing a B Western with Tim Holt. Tim Holt, long explanation. Tim Holt bounced back and forth between A movies like The Magnificent Ambersons, Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Stagecoach, and starring in his own B Western cowboy series. They had to be made up and ready to leave the studio at 6:15 a.m. So what time did it hit? 5:30 maybe?
Mhm.
Oh,
5:30 to get there. The crew, the camera car load at 5:30 a.m. on a Saturday, and they're going to shoot a whole bunch of stuff at Iverson's Ranch, a popular location out in the San Fernando Valley, and they were already planning on shooting an interior scene that night at 7:30. That's more than a 12-hour day.
Yeah. So here's this one. As I say, we will post these guys up on my dad's website. He'll write a little something, and that way you can see them better for yourselves.
Yes. And finally, it says here, weather permitting. So if weather didn't permit, they had what they call the cover set, a place ready to shoot interiors if it was raining outside. That's all happening in one day under the umbrella of RKO Radio Pictures in 1941. I find this stuff endlessly fascinating.
Frank, which title? Frank says we had that title for the King of Movies game. Which film was it? That's so funny. My dad's board game, which if you don't know, we will show you again. We don't have one near us, but I promise next week we'll show you again.
Not very near us.
No, not very near us. Not near us at all. I don't know where anything is. Mama, would you like to show them the slippers?
Oh, well, I do have some things, yes. Now you have to understand, as a collector, you get things, and then at the time it seemed wonderful. Now
I still think they're hilarious.
I got them
They're-
up.
Just fix his hat.
Fix his hat.
Nightcap.
Okay, nightcap. They're up in the closet now. I
Do
can't.
you want help?
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Okay. All right. So my mom has
was
had
for-
these
For the marriage.
most of my life. These are slippers. These are Charles and Diana slippers.
yes,
And they make me laugh.
I am embarrassed.
Shouldn't be. They're hilarious. I love it. I mean, not very kind in their portrayals of either one of them.
No,
but
no, they sort of
hilariously
never
funny.
were
It's
meant
more like
to
spitting
be.
image
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
characters.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I did bring a bunch of stuff, but I see it's getting later. One of the things I truly love, okay, is this for the
Hang on. So the whole thing is because my mom collects Royal British commemoratives, I'm always trying to find stuff that's funny. So when Will and Kate were going to be married, I'm trying to find unique stuff to get from my mother.
I'm trying to
All
find
right.
have her buy good stuff.
I'm looking for unique things. So what did I locate? I found condoms. Crown Jewels Condoms of Distinction, William and Catherine, 29th April 2011, Royal Souvenirs for the Wedding. This one is still in its plastic, though we do have others because we wanted to see what was inside, which I realize sounds hilarious. But there is a little booklet inside that you open up, and it says, lie back and think of England.
Which I think was supposed to be said by Mrs. Gladstone,
Yes,
that when she
But-
made love with Mr. Gladstone,
yes.
she closed her eyes and
Thought of England. Yeah.
Yes.
So these are hilarious. The other part though, that I love about these is they actually say on them, not for use. So what I want to imagine are people who got these for friends and laughed and then ended up pregnant and can now blame Kate and
9 months
William.
later. And this,
But some years later,
there's the
when these
couple,
two got engaged, when Meghan and Harry got engaged, I thought, I wonder, will they do condoms? Oh, they did. Oh, they definitely did. and I got them for my mother.
So this
Now,
is
this is the same woman who has pottery
Yep.
Yes.
dating back
Yep.
to George the Fourth,
I mean,
a serious collector.
and it says, Lord forgive me, everyone, but on this here it says, "Your prince will come."
there you go. There you go. And they call crown jewels. Isn't that wonderful? I just love that.
So
I love that.
one of the ones I got you played music.
Yes. Well,
That was a good one
Well,
too.
what a loss not to have that with
I
us
know,
today.
right? I know. Sorry.
anyway.
Like Mary Poppins digging in your
Yes,
bag.
I did want to show this.
Oh
Did you-
God.
You brought the tackiest stuff.
No, I
I'm
thought
thrilled.
this was really interesting, honey. I mean, I do have, as you know, very good stuff, but this was.
Horrible. It says married 1981 on this side. Okay. Show you here. Married 1981. And on the other side, it says divorced 1996.
That's not easy to find, by the way.
Someone just looked up your slippers on eBay, said they go for $60.
Well, there you go. I guess I can't retire on that.
I know, right?
Anyway, I was also going to tell you that when.
Oh, yeah, this is the other thing I got you.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. That's tea. Yeah.
They're tea bags. They're tea bags. They sit in your cup also for the wedding.
That's for. Yeah.
Oh, Gay Falcon. Frank saying that it was Gay Falcon that was in the Leonard Maltin game.
Oh,
Hilarious. And lastly, Mama.
Oh, well, and this, I wanted to pick stuff this is a bust that was done for Charles and Diana's marriage.
The Royal Wedding 1981.
There you go. There you go. Little did they ever think,
That's right.
that it would end so poorly. So poorly.
Little did they know when they were making this priceless bus
Hey,
that those two crazy kids wouldn't last.
yes, control yourself.
All right.
gorgeous.
Well, I think that's everything we have for you for today. I know.
and plenty.
It's
And
a lot.
plenty. Yes.
As always, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I'm sorry that everything wants to crash.
Not our fault. Not our fault.
I have two friends who this is all they do professionally, and they can't figure out why everything keeps crashing. So it makes me feel less terrible
Mhm.
if other people see that it's broken all the time. I do appreciate that. Thank you again to people who've been signing up for the Patreon. That's incredibly kind and incredibly generous of you. We're so appreciative. And to everybody else, you can always follow us on social media, and we're happy to do this with you every week. You can always send us questions.
And if anybody knows of any rescue site in
Yeah.
Los Angeles,
We're looking at a bunch of different rescues.
well, the problem is that very few dogs because of the pandemic,
yeah, which is a great thing.
which is a great thing.
I'm
but-
happy to see fewer
but I
dogs
do
out
fear
there.
that once
Yeah.
it's over, going to be a lot of dogs
Yeah.
again.
Thank you, and thank you all again for reaching out with Jude.
Yes, it's very
I will just say
kind.
that the amazing thing, I've had so many friends say this to me, that they cried more when they lost a member of the fur family than even a human. And I think to a degree, it's because our animals, all they do is bring us comfort and love. And they are there for us in a way that sometimes people can't be.
No.
In my case, I got Jude when she was just a puppy right after I had to leave the music conservatory that I was out because I was too sick. I couldn't be there anymore. So, and I went on to bed rest for almost a year after that. And so Jude was my companion, you know, and through all of my surgeries and everything that I've had to deal with through the years, she was my little buddy who would sit with me and love me and all of that. And so, you know, it is hard to let them go. At the same time, 15 years of
Good
getting
years. She had very good years.
snuggles with
Very
my
much
baby,
loved,
you know,
yeah.
I feel very lucky to have had that. And now, you know, we will find someone else to join us and to keep Hurt company
Yeah.
because it's no fun for him either, our poor
No.
boy. And the last thing I'll say is the funniest part of all of this is that what almost every single person has said to me is, do you want me to call you and cough so you feel better? Now, if you don't get that joke, then you didn't hear Jude very much. My baby had a collapsed trachea and coughed a lot. So I did appreciate friends reaching out and saying, if you need me to, I will call you and cough for hours. Very thoughtful. Anyway, lots of love to everybody.
Everybody,
And
thank
we
you
will
very
see
much.
you.
Take
Stay
care.
safe.
Stay safe.
We'll see you soon.
Bye bye.